Hello everyone, welcome back to the Spring Boot CRUD tutorial series. In the previous videos, we implemented select, insert, and update operations to manage employee data in our MySQL database. In today's video, we'll learn how to perform the delete operation. We'll create a delete API endpoint that allows us to remove an existing employee record from the database using Spring Boot, service, and repository layers. Now let's implement the delete operation in our repository. Inside the MyRepository class, I've created a method called deleteData, employee EMP. Here, I write in SQL delete query that removes a record from the employees table where the employee_ID matches the ID provided in the employee object. Then, I use jdbctemplate.update to execute this query, passing the employee ID as a parameter. Whenever we call this method with an employee object, it will delete the corresponding record from the database. This completes the repository layer for the delete operation. Now let's move to the service layer for our delete operation. Inside the MyService class, I've created a method called deleteData, employee EMP. This method simply calls the repository's deleteData, EMP, function and returns its result. The service layer acts as a bridge between the controller and repository. Whenever the controller calls this method with an employee object, the service passes it down to the repository, which then executes the SQL delete query and removes the corresponding record from the database. Now let's create the controller method to delete an employee record from the database. Inside the MyController class, I've added a method mapped to the endpoint/deleteEmployeeData using the @delete mapping annotation. This method accepts an employee object in the request body using the @requestBody annotation. That way, the API knows which employee to delete based on the employee_ID. Next, I call the service layer's deleteData, EMP, method and store the result. Finally, I return a response entity with a proper response. If the result is greater than 0, it means the deletion was successful, and we return employee data deleted successfully. Otherwise, we return an internal server error message indicating that something went wrong while deleting the record. With this, our delete API is ready to use, and we can test it in Postman by sending a delete request with the employee ID. Now, let's build and run our Spring Boot application using NetBeans IDE. First, locate your project in the Projects window. To build the project, right-click on the project name and select Clean and Build. This will remove any old compiled files and create a fresh build of the application. Once the build is successful, right-click on the project again and select Run. NetBeans will start the embedded Tomcat server and launch the application automatically. After a few seconds, the server will be running at 8080 port. And we can now test our delete API using Postman. This method is simple and avoids using the terminal or command line commands. Great! Our API has responded with the message. Employee data deleted successfully. This means the delete request worked perfectly, and the employee record we specified has been removed from the database. This confirms that our delete operation is functioning correctly in our Spring Boot application. Always remember to verify the deletion in the database to ensure the record is removed properly. That's it for our Spring Boot CRUD series. We covered creating a project, database configuration, and all CRUD operations: select, insert, update, and delete with Spring Boot, MySQL, and Postman. By following this series, you now know how to build a full CRUD application and test it end to end. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.